It's the place to run to. Book a session, come through. Live performance podcast, whatever you want to do.
Get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Morning Flavor with who? Nisha and I said twice. Your host, huh? Y'all, we have an explosive episode, a legendary, iconic episode. And before I get into my very, very special guest, y'all know what I like to do. I got to give you some wisdom. I got to give you some quotes from the legendary James Brown, huh? And y'all gonna figure out why. Y'all gonna be able to put this together. Y'all gonna see why I'm starting this the way that I'm starting this, okay? So let me go into these quotes. I named my new son James Joseph Brown II because I think he's going to be a lot better than I was. Wait a minute. We just had James Brown II on here last week, and that was such an honor. So to understand that his father specifically ordained and put that on his life and said, you know what? I named him James Brown II because I know for a fact he's going to be much better than I was. And James Brown was such a great man. He was just a great soul. And I just know that from the outside looking in, baby. Okay, so I want to give y'all that to marinate on. That's so special that he planted that seed in his seed. Are y'all following what I'm saying? Come on now. Now, the second quote is, my expectations of other people, I doubled them on myself, y'all. Y'all know what it is. We can't expect a lot of things out of people. We can't expect them to treat us how we want to be treated. But when you have expectations of other people, double it on yourself. You show up as that. You show up as that light. You show up in the right light that you want to see other people in. Double it down on yourselves, y'all. So marinate on those words of wisdom from the great James Brown, baby. Woo! Wait a minute, huh? Because I feel good. Woo! Hold on now. Let me get into our special guest. Thank you, Queen, for being here with us. Miss TomiRae, I need y'all to make some noise. Woo! In your living room, in the studio, while you're doing your James Brown two-step, I need you to be excited, baby.
All right.
We got Miss TomiRae on the show.
All right.
We had your son on the first part of James and Us, y'all, so we are doing this as a special, okay? And it's an absolute honor to have you with us today. Let me know how you feeling, Queen.
I feel good. I feel good. I feel good like you knew that I would. I'm so happy. I'm so blessed. And I thank you so much for having me on here and treating my son with so much respect and kindness. I just God bless you and thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Goddess. We appreciate you. We appreciate both of you. Seriously. And before we get into your relationship with the legendary James Brown, we want to know where it all began for you. Tell me about TomiRae, Queen. Woo!
I just love your style. You are so cool. You
Thank
are so
you.
cool.
We are a reflection of one another, baby.
Exactly.
You know that. You know
and
that.
I love what you were just saying about put that on yourself. Now that is something that's worth repeating. And I appreciate that you chose that quote because that's important. We all need to do that. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know how you want to look at it. My beginnings didn't start so well. My mother was a country western singer. My father was, it was that Vietnam time. So, people were breaking up and people were making up while people were at war. So I had 5 brothers and sisters before me, and their father came back off the plane trip, and my mom had me in her arms and a divorce paper. And so, because she had met my father, who was a cop in Las Vegas, and she was a singer in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. So it was right around the time when the mob ruled. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So Las Vegas was a different city then. You couldn't just go in tennis shoes. You had to be suited and booted to go into a casino. When I was around, when I was young, so my father, he left 5 years later, and that was the best 5 years of my life when my father and my mother were together. I'm not religious, but I'm a Christian. But I do believe that predators are hidden in the churches.
Absolutely.
And that's been proven. So she happened to marry a predator who made it his life to every night come into my bedroom. So I would, and try to mess with me. So if, I would get in fights with him, I would sneak out my window. I would go sleep in carpet rolls at the cafeteria barn when I was about 7, 8, 9 years old. I kept going to juvenile hall and to foster homes and group homes and Home of the Good Shepherd, like these all-girl Catholic schools and things, because they said I was unmanageable, incorrigible, and that basically I was that I wouldn't stay at home. I was just an incorrigible runaway, is what they called it. Nobody bothered to ask why, that there was somebody coming in my room at night when my mom went to bed. But and I was just a little thing, I was just nothing but hair. And so I decided I was just going to leave. So I started running away. And I was running away. I would go to the truck stop in Las Vegas, and I would take it because I was collecting Music Connection articles and watching Rip Magazine, different magazines, and Rock City News, and magazines from Los Angeles, from music scene. And I would clip out clippings of Singers Wanted and things like that. And I would run to the Rainbow Bar and Grill. I was like 11, 12, 13. But I looked older than my age, and I acted a lot older than my age. I ended up getting a job there. I ended up getting my first band there. Wow. It was called Hardly Dangerous. I ended up running away for the last time. I said, Mom, listen, stop getting the cops to bring me back. I don't want to come back. This guy's here. You don't believe me. So I'm just going to go make it on my own.
And I just want to apologize for that.
You don't have to apologize.
I know,
you didn't do that,
I understand, but even still, though, you know what I mean? It's just so important. Yeah. You didn't even have the support that you needed.
No, your mother's out there, man. You got to believe your children.
You have to.
Children don't lie about things like that, man. They don't even know about things like that.
Come on.
So they don't lie about it. So mothers, this is up to you to protect your children, or fathers, because mothers do it too, man.
Yes.
And brothers and sisters do it. You need to be awake. But anyway, so I got woke real quick, and when I was 13, I got let out of the Home of the Good Shepherd, which now has been closed down for years for mistreating the girls. But I went on my own to the Rainbow Bar and Grill. I got a job there. There was a band called Rocket Queen who lived with Guns N' Roses.
Wow.
The girl on the arm of Axl Rose was a singer, Barbie Von Greif, and a mixture of her and one other person I won't mention, but it's her. And the band was called Rocket Queen. She actually was writer of that song. And they needed a bass player. I wasn't a bass player. I said, I'm a bass player. I was a singer, because of my mom, And so I went to the pawn shop. I got a bass. And I showed up at the rehearsal, and I pretended. I just acted as if. For the next 2 years, I was the bass player of that band.
Wow.
I ended up having to fire the singer because of heroin addiction. And all she would just come up all nodding out with a bottle of vodka, not getting no work done. I said, I can sing her parts. Let's just get rid of her. I didn't like doing both. It was too hard. So I hired a bass player, changed the name of the band to Hardly Dangerous. We ended up being the first band signed to Madonna's label, Maverick Records.
What?
By Guy Osiri, who at that time was the A&R guy, and now he runs all Madonna's stuff.
Come on, y'all.
Yeah.
She didn't say we was signed to...
We were the first band
Milk
signed.
Duds and the Crew. Okay, she didn't say we were signed to Mr. Magoo and the Flintstones.
No.
Baby, she said Madonna.
The Queen, Mad Woman.
Okay,
yeah,
go
she's
ahead.
The Queen, Mad Woman.
I just gotta sprinkle some up on that.
Yeah, Madonna, Mad Woman. Let me tell you that she told us we had to come up with 100 songs just to get 10, and we'd be lucky if we get that. Wow. She was nothing but serious.
Ooh, she wasn't playing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I owe her a big apology because she really put a lot of faith into us. And we made some mistakes. We were young. We were an all-girl band. We were all really hot looking, and we had the run of the Sunset Strip because I was in at the Rainbow. I was made a part of their family, so we had gigs at the Whiskey. We didn't have to worry about nothing.
Right.
So it was really easy. After 10 years, when we lost our deal with Maverick Records, she signed. Music was changing. Alanis Morissette got signed after us, and music was changing. It was all of a sudden it wasn't Poison, and it wasn't that. But I was living with Guns N' Roses and living with Poison. I mean, we were just couch swapping at that point, all sharing music, all sharing the stages, and some of us got really lucky. And 10 years afterwards, we lost our deal. I went back to Las Vegas. And I started singing for Legends in Concert. And I did Janis Joplin. And that was something else. I actually would listen to James Brown and Janis Joplin to practice the parts because they have a similar way they use a scratch and a natural voice at the same time.
Yes.
So I was doing that. In fact, right before I met James Brown, I was rehearsing to go to the show when I was going to meet him when I did not know it.
Wow.
And my girlfriend I was living with, like since we were 2, you know, when you got a girlfriend, when you're really young, you say, oh, would you marry him? Oh, gross, all that, you know. So she said, who's that other girl you listening to? I said, that's not a girl. That's Janis Joplin. You mean Janis Joplin? She said, no, the other girl. I said, that's James Brown. You don't know who James Brown is? And she was like, what? No, James, that ain't no man. I said, girl, wait right here. So I went upstairs and I got the James Brown CD, Messing with the Blues. And I came down and I said, see, that's James Brown. That's who it is. And she went, oh my God, that's the ugliest man I've ever seen in my life. I said, oh, I can't believe you said that. Oh, girl, you must be crazy.
Something was wrong with her eyes.
Something's wrong with her. I said,
she was
girl,
legally blind.
She was. I said, girl, I love him. You don't even know I love him. Don't you even say that about my man. And I was serious. And she said, oh, gross. She said, would you have his baby? I said, hell yes, I would. She said, would you marry him? I said, you better believe in a second.
Okay.
And you know, I went to work and within literally, and I'm my right hand to God, may he strike me and my child down if I'm lying to you. I met this man within 3 months and I ended up having his child and I ended up marrying him. And it all came from this Janis Joplin show.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah, he wanted me to sing backup vocals for him. So I met him and went to try out.
Wow. Look at that. And y'all don't play with her because, listen, from that first question, she done gave us the whole bio. Okay? Don't play with you. Do not play with you. Listen. So that was kind of segueing into my next question because obviously you were born in Vegas and that's where you grew up, okay? And then with people comparing you to Janis Joplin, the Janis Joplin of Vegas, how did you feel about that?
I loved it. It was an honor to me because Janis Joplin, she's a queen, man. She's amazing. And singing 30 of her songs a night is no easy task. I mean, I was doing 3 sets a night, a half an hour each set.
30.
I was like, yeah. I mean, you have to really, really
you gotta really go there and pull it out.
Yeah, you got to.
Come on now.
Go get it. Yeah.
I hope the artists are listening. Some of y'all can't even do a 3-minute set, baby. Come on now. 30 songs.
Yeah. 10 songs each set. Bam, bam, bam.
Come on.
You know, and
when you want to be legendary,
yeah,
it's different steps.
That's right.
Come on now.
That's right.
Come on.
You gotta work. You gotta work.
Come on, you pulling from a reservoir.
That's right.
You may not even have the energy, but you pulling it out of your left toe.
That's right. I'm wearing big round purple glasses. I'm wearing feathers. I'm doing whatever I got to do to make sure that I could, you know, getting those nice orange tab Levi's with the bells on them. Just making sure that I look like Janis and I sounded like Janis.
Wow.
And I learned how to sing like Janis by listening and practicing to James Brown and Janis.
Wow.
And perfecting that double voice that they use, the clear and the scratchy, which doesn't hurt nobody.
Wow. So another one of my questions was going to be, where did you first meet James Brown? But I feel like you went into that with the last question. Right. But I would like for you to talk a little bit deeper about that in case anybody missed it. Right. And I would like to know what that interaction felt like for you.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a really funny thing. And y'all can think what you want to think about it, but this is the real deal. And this is how it went down. He wanted me to audition for him. Okay. I had to go in. One of his background singers was a girl in the 80s I taught how to write a song.
Wow.
Turned out years later, she became a background singer for James Brown. I didn't know that. Ooh. I was out to dinner with Kevin DuBrow, the singer from Quiet Riot. May he rest in peace. I was dating him at the time. And Kevin DuBrow and I were sitting there having dinner, and I got a call from Candace because she was married to Carlos Cavazo, the guitar player for Quiet Riot. So we knew each other through that similarity. All right. So she called me up during dinner and she said, you got to get here right now. James Brown saw the show. He loves your voice. He needs a background singer. He wants you to come meet him and audition. And I said, okay, I'll be there. I told Kevin, he was so mad at me. He said, what? I want to sing for James Brown. So he was more mad that he didn't get the call for James Brown, but if you know Kevin DuBrow, that's just the way he was. But he was more than happy to let me go. And
this was your boyfriend at the time.
Yeah. He was just jealous. That's all.
Listen.
Yeah, Kevin DuBrow just jealous. He's always jealous. He was a wonderful man. He helped me a lot. And we were sitting to dinner in Vegas, and so I went to the Hilton. She said, come to the Hilton and meet me. So I went to the Hilton. She said, you have to stop in my room first because there's some requirements. You can't meet James Brown. I got to see how you look. And I got to give you some advice first.
Right.
Because it ain't like meeting nobody else. And I was like, okay, whatever. I didn't really know too much about the man. I knew he was just a strong man. I knew I loved him. Didn't really know the little things.
Depths of him.
Yeah, how deep he really was.
Right.
So I went into a room. She said, first of all, put those away. And she's like, I covered that up. And she put a brooch on my shirt to cover up my cleavage and told me, it's yes, sir. You speak when spoken to. You be a lady. You be wise to keep your legs together if you sit on the couch and look him in the eyes and just talk to him. And whatever he says, just be honest with him and it'll all be all good. Got me nice and nervous. I'm like, oh, this guy should put me in another outfit. I'm like, well, what's going on here, man? I just want to sing for James Brown. So basically, I went up and she said, okay, you ready? So we went up and I knocked on the door and we opened it. And he had about 5 of his entourage, lawyers, and all those cats that we found out later robbed him and got sent to jail. We're all standing there with one of them had a suitcase that was handcuffed to his hand.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. He went to jail,
Intense.
too. Yeah, he went to jail, too, for stealing money after he died. But anyway, those are all the fat cats, his entourage, that were stealing from him for years later. We found out snakes, they're everywhere. Watch your eyes.
Bamboozlers.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so he said, hello. And I said, hello. And he said, oh, with a low voice like that, hello. He said, you got to be able to sing. And I just went, oh, well, thank you, Mr. Brown. I'm honored. I love you, And he said, just give me some Mercedes-Benz. So I did it. I just a cappella sang Mercedes-Benz. And I said, oh, Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? And I just did the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And I did it the best I possibly could. And he just went, oh, Lord have mercy. Have a seat, young lady. Have a seat. And I sat down next to him. We talked for hours. He told everybody to go home.
Wow.
We talked for hours. We listened to his music. I heard songs I never heard from James Brown before that I was like, oh, is this new? He's all big. I did this in the 60s. I'm all, oh, God, I felt like that big. But yeah, we just sat and talked all night. And he said to me, he said, you want to hang out with me for a little while? I said, yeah, I believe I can hang out with you for a little while. He says, how long will it take you to go get your best stuff for the stage? And how long will it take you to learn my music? Because we got a show in San Francisco tomorrow.
Wow.
And I want to put you on the stage. I said, I can learn it on the plane, and it'll take me a half hour to go get my things. Woo! Yeah.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, for sure, for
Do
real.
you hear what?
Yeah. So I went in a
You
cab.
just got to be ready.
You got to be ready to do it when it comes, or you're gonna miss that train. The boat has already left the station. So I went, I got my things, and I brought them back to the hotel. And I opened up my suitcase. I was so proud of all my Janis Joplin feathers and my flare jeans and my slinky dresses with little fake sequins on them. And that's all I could afford. I didn't have nothing, I was on my own my whole life. And he said, nothing, N-O-T-H-I-N-G, nothing to everything in my bag. I was like, he said, you ain't got nothing there. It ain't nothing. You can't go say that. Ain't no this. You can't have this. And I was like, oh, no. He's like, we going shopping. So he took me downstairs. He bought me a fur coat, spent me about $30,000 on clothes and shoes and hats and bags to match. And we got on the plane, on his private plane the next day, and we flew to San Francisco. And the first show I did with him was at the Masonry, at the San Francisco Masons Temple. And I learned all of his stuff. He put me on stage that night. I think I sang Etta James at Last and Try by Janis Joplin and Hold On, I'm Coming.
Wow.
Yeah, and I did those 3 songs, and then I did the background vocals with him. And then from that night on, after that show, he asked me, I was in his room after the show, and he said, would you want to hang out with me a little while longer? I said, yeah. He said, do you want to stay the night? I said, I'll stay the night with you, Mr. Brown. I was immediately in love with this man.
Wow.
And I never left his side from the moment I met him.
And that was my next question, Goddess. At what stage did you realize you were falling in love with each other? I felt like it started in that moment.
It started the moment I met him, and the moment that he looked in my eyes and he had no makeup on and he was just talking to me and we started discussing about each other's lives. He didn't do the 7th grade. I didn't do the 7th grade.
Wow.
He was in
So
group
much in
homes.
common.
He was in jail. He was locked up. He was abused. He was everything I was, but in a different time.
Yes.
And he was like my teacher, my father that I had missed so much. My father, thank God, passed away after he gave me away at my wedding. So,
Wow.
I'm just so proud but no, I fell in love with him instantly. He was such a beautiful and strong character, and I just wanted to soak up every bit of knowledge. Like when you were saying a message, got to get a message. Everything was a message. When I saw you perform and you were doing that, you were laying it down with my son, and I said, they're sleepwalking. I said, don't touch him.
Come on now.
Don't touch him. Don't touch people sleepwalking. You're going to get hurt. They in the zone. And you was like, got a message, got to tell a message.
Yes.
Messages, a message.
Yes.
And I was like, this girl is on fire. You were on fire that night.
Thank you, Queen. What?
And I'm telling you, man. I told people I was backing up. I said, back up. They're all like trying to get in the face. I said, they're sleepwalking, man. You don't touch me when they're sleepwalking. They're in the zone right now. Just let them do their thing. And you all did it too.
Thank you. I mean, think about that. That was the spirit. Mm-hmm. That was the spirit.
That's the Holy Spirit. You know when it's there.
Come on. You know that was the spirit. Mm-hmm. And then to share that moment with your son and to have you there, I felt like James Brown was without a doubt in that moment as well.
Oh, yeah. He's in that house. Bottom line, he's in the house all the time.
Come on.
I see nothing but he's born 1933, May 3rd, 1933. And there's rarely a time I pick up my phone or my iPad and it doesn't have at least two or three threes in it. And I mean, I see it everywhere. I see the numbers everywhere. I'm really into numbers. I'm really into spirit.
Yes.
I really believe the spirit is here, and the loved ones that we've lost are with us.
Always.
And they are here protecting us. And he makes it evident. I mean, with my son and I, everywhere we go, a James Brown song will come on the radio. And I kid you not, everywhere we go, a James Brown song will come on the radio, and James will go, "Mom, listen, it's Dad." I'm like, "I know, I told you, son. He's with us. He's watching us." And it's been a beautiful journey for my son because I get to see my husband in my son.
Yes.
And he does things. I mean, him and my husband were so close. The small amount of time they had together, but they were so close for a lot of very special reasons.
Yes.
A few very important reasons that people don't understand. But yeah, that's why we're here.
Yes.
A message.
Yes, y'all. It is always, even in a mess, there is a message.
Amen.
You see what I'm saying? Stop thinking because things are chaotic, it's not a message within it. Mm-hmm. James Brown, the ups and downs that he went through, he was still able to pull out a message in his music to inspire the world. Listen to TomiRae's story. You see what I'm saying? She was able to pull out that message. Even while going through all the mess that she went through, she was resilient, and that's why she is still standing, baby.
That's right.
What are you talking about?
That's right. And that's bondage. That's that bondage.
Yes.
People talk about that bondage. That's that mess. That's that edge. That's that aging you shit. That's all that.
Yes.
All that bondage that ages you from that mess. And and you know, James Brown, you say all the time, don't take that mess. I ain't taking that mess. That was something I heard every day, especially when I didn't have a hairnet in the kitchen.
Okay.
And you don't ever go in that man's refrigerator.
Listen.
I don't care whose kid you are.
Don't touch my refrigerator, okay? He ain't playing. Ooh. Oh, my goodness. So you got together at a moment in time when racism was at an all-time high. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about those challenges you guys faced being together and any outside judgment that was created, being with a Black man that was famous.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll start off with a really interesting story that will tell you how James Brown, how well he dealt with this. And it's almost sad that he could take it at this level.
Right.
Because he shouldn't have had to. But it was when Tiger Woods we used to like to drive around and he used to like to give kids $100 bills. It was what he liked to do when we were off. And we'd always go sing at this place, Michael's, on piano and have our favorite food. And we were driving and Tiger Woods was going to be in the Masters. And on one side of the street, on the left side, was Reverend Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, a whole bunch of Black activists and Black people with signs that Tiger Woods should be in the green jacket. On the right side, there were KKK dressed in KKK uniforms, like in that white robe. I started shaking. I started crying. I didn't know what to say or feel, and I was looking at James, and I thought he was going to get upset. This is going to be a thing. James is going to get upset. You know what happens when James gets upset? Shit gets crazy. And then I just looked at him, and I said, "Baby, are you all right? Are you all right?" And I was trembling in fear, and I'd never seen nothing like that.
Right.
And he said, "Baby, that ain't nothing. This is the Deep South." And then he looked at me and he took down his glasses. He went, and there's a mayor under there. And he laughed about it. And I was just like, wow, this is amazing. That this king
yes,
of soul
yes,
literally has so much soul
Mm.
that he has taken this and flipped the script on racism. Just flipped it like that. Just flip the script. That's that ugly. That ain't this, because this is beautiful. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And there's a mayor under there.
And there's a
mayor
there's a
under
mayor.
there. There you go.
Okay.
And that mayor was at our wedding too, by the way. And that's a fact, Jack.
Come on, y'all. Look at the deepness
Yeah,
of
for
that
real.
story.
Yeah.
Look at his strength, like she said. This was something that had just become second nature to him. Oh, I ain't worried about them. That's the city councilman, that's the mayor,
Yeah,
that's
right.
You know what I mean? Literally being in disguise.
Yeah.
So they could really, be the way that how they wanted to be.
Be hateful.
Be hateful.
Yeah.
Come on now.
At least we get to be who we are, and say what we want to say. I mean, this is ridiculous. They could do the same thing, but they're too afraid.
They're too afraid to
Cowards.
Cowards.
Yeah.
Cowards.
And they're the ones running our cities, running our countries,
Yes.
making the rules, and just crumbing on the people that really do work hard and don't deserve it.
Come on now. We on to y'all. We been on to y'all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're definitely on to it.
We know what time it is.
And you know what? And there's other things, too. I found out there's some racism within the black community.
Oh, yeah.
They be talking about you too light, you too dark, you high yellow. I'm like, what is this? Y'all hate me and you hate them, too. You hate yourselves, too. How much hate you got?
Come on. It's deep. It's deep, goddess. It is. It's deep now. We do have other melanated people that is putting their noses down to others.
That's
what
right.
is that about? We are all one.
Do they not know it's just because
Come
the
on
sun
now, we
was
are the
somewhere
human
else?
race.
Yeah,
Come on,
the
talk
human
about
race.
it.
Yeah, because
the
the sun was
come on, talk
somewhere
about it.
else when you was born. That's why you're that color. So if you was from California with blonde hair and blue eyes, and the sun just happened to be in Africa, you'd be the one without a job.
Oh!
You know what I'm saying?
Y'all. Are y'all?
This is about
Are y'all listening?
humanity. We are the same blood. We both bleed red. It's blue inside. You see it. We all die if we shoot heroin and we OD. We all have mothers and children and fathers that pass. We all have feelings. And you guys, if we don't get over this shit fast, we are going to be in trouble. You think the Ukraine's in trouble? Shit, we got problems right here.
Come on
at
now.
Our home.
The human race is in trouble.
We are all in trouble.
We all in trouble. It's all of our problem.
It is.
all of our problem, period.
Yeah, that's
Come
it.
on.
You got
we
to
gotta
have
stop
a
trying
voice.
to make this be it's a one group thing. No, it's a world thing.
It ain't them or they, it's us.
us. It's us. And until we figure that out, maybe we gonna
Then we
continue
got
to lose.
problems.
Yes.
Yeah. If us ain't happening, then we ain't happening either. You know what I'm saying?
Come on, y'all.
For real. Yeah. And and it's a shame because my son is so amazing. He's got the sweetest heart. He doesn't know a lie. He can't even try to lie because he fumbles and, like when he tries to get some couple bucks or something, he don't know a lie. I'm like, James, don't try it. He's like, you're right. He don't even know how to lie. He doesn't know one. He's the sweetest kid ever. And, his brothers and sisters are missing out on that. And all of the fire that he has for his music comes from all of the pain that he has already dealt with in his little young life. That he had to deal with from his own brothers and sisters because their mother was white. I mean, ain't that some raw deal?
Come on.
Now, you have a marriage that's done in my own house, done by, officiated by a real preacher. After a few preachers said they would do it and then called and said, sorry, we can't do it because the congregation didn't want them to marry Mr. Brown to a white woman. So we finally got somebody to do it. Oh, and believe it, he said yes, and he showed up in full African garb. I didn't mind that. I thought that was cool. Most people would have a problem with it. I'm sure he did it to piss me off. But I thought it was great. It made it pretty colorful to me. But still, it was a real marriage. It was fine. Everything was fine. Supreme Court, wife. Court, wife. Back to Supreme Court, wife. Back to the court, wife. On Black Lives Matter Day, after many death threats. I'm here on asylum with my son, by the way, from death threats over this case that has lasted for 15 years, almost 15 years. Now it's been settled under confidential family settlement, and I'm very thankful to that. And I pray for the family, and I still love my husband's children. I pray for them every day, and I try to imagine them with smiles and happiness in their heart. That's how I get through the night. But on Black Lives Matter Day, I got a picture of Reverend Sharpton and Donald Trump walking on the South Carolina Supreme Court lawn, because I was getting lots of pictures and lots of letters sent to me. I was moving every year. And on Black Lives Matter Day, I got that picture on my doorstep. And then I got a call the next day, and they said, "You're no longer Mrs. Brown." And I said, "What? What are you talking about?"
What?
"Oh, well, the Supreme Court just decided that you're not Mrs. Brown anymore." So I said, "Okay, how did this happen?" Well, so I do all my due diligence, because I've been in court 14 years, so I've basically become a lawyer myself.
Right.
So I started doing my due diligence. I find out, well, I mean, I don't know if judges or anybody has anything to do with it, but I do know that Reverend Sharpton championed the head of the Supreme Court to get her job. And so I was kind of wondering, like, well, these people are all affiliated, and this was already ruled on twice, 3 times, and on Black Lives Matter Day, I get this. This is the government trying to make it impossible for interracial couples to be accepted. And that is because he is the most famous black man in the world, and he cannot be married to a white woman because they cannot stomach it. And that's on them.
And that's on them.
That's on them. Because no matter what, it still came back around, and we privately realized, and we all came to an agreement, and we're all family now, and everything's all good, and I'm his wife, and everything's all legal. It's all cool. I got my husband back. That's all I ever cared about. To tell you the truth, I would have given him everything. I just wanted to be Mrs. Brown.
Yes.
That was it.
Because
that man changed my world.
Absolutely.
And gave me my child that makes me wake up every day with a smile.
Absolutely. And how dare they think that they was going to take that away from you? He's already not here in the physical, but you think you're going to take away the legacy of what this man meant to me?
Legacy? You want to talk about legacy?
Come on.
You want to talk about message? Huh? Let's talk about legacy.
Come on.
All right. My son already passed two. One of those paternity tests? Two of them already. So they cut off James Brown's left leg 6 months after he died, because they embalmed him 30 minutes after he died, and I wasn't there. His daughter signed the paperwork to embalm him within 30 minutes. Then, 6 months later, I had to go and hold his hand. Felt like a glove was going to slip off into my hands. It was freezing cold. I had to listen to that bone saw cut off his leg, because when you embalm somebody that quickly, you cannot get the sample of the DNA. You have to get it from their bone marrow. So I looked at Deanna Brown, and I said, "Girl," I said, "you made this happen. You better make a call, make the stop. You're about to cut off the best dancer that ever lived leg. And he's your father." And she, on the phone, she goes, "It's too late." She tried to get up and walk out. I slammed her back in the chair. I said, "No, you made this happen. You're going to watch it happen." So I held his hand, and she sat there looking at me with her mad face. When we was friends, they used to call me Mama Ray. And that bone saw started, and they cut off that man's left leg to get a piece of bone marrow to test my son again, who then again passed. And some of those people that were fighting didn't even pass themselves. So tell me, how deep does this hate have to go before people start recognizing, is it greed? Is it green? Is it racism? Is it white or black? Or is it just evil?
Or is it a mixture of all of them?
That's right.
Because what?
Cutting off the Godfather of Soul's legs to test your own little brother, which even Larry King looked at the Larry King show I was on twice. And even Larry King, who knew James Brown for years, I even met him with Larry King before I did his show after he died. And he said, "Oh, that's James Brown's son. I could only look at him and tell." Everybody could look at him and tell. I mean, James Brown named that child. They were so mad he got his name too, girl. They were so mad. They were so mad. They were sure that he didn't do it because they didn't get theirs named that way. But he had his own reasons for doing that, and we'll probably get into that. But yeah, it's crazy how deep it will go for people to either be, whether it be racism or money or whatever it is. But you go to church every Sunday, girl. Come on. Y'all go to church. You guys know the pastor. You are first sisters in the front 2 rows.
Come on now, you
And
know
you
they
need
say
to tell me on Monday you become
be
Satan?
in the church for real. Come on now.
That's what I'm
Y'all
talking
going
about.
to hide behind the pulpit and ain't treating people with love and respect.
That's right.
Come on now.
Even Jesus said, it ain't the stone, it's the bone.
Whew.
It ain't the stone. Stone don't make the church. The bone
It's the
makes
bone.
the church. We are the church. We are God.
Yes.
We are all a piece of God.
Everywhere.
And if you notice that and you realize that and you accept that, then your life will change.
Bottom line.
Blessings will come. You will not even know where they came from. You won't even know how. But I'll tell you what, they'll happen because you believe they will.
Because you
put that shit
believe.
in the universe and it will come back to you. I had that man's baby. I married that man. I named it and claimed it before it even happened.
Sure did. Wow. And this king couldn't even rest the way that he needed to because of the hatred stemmed so deep. Mm-hmm. His leg had to be removed to prove a point for the second time.
Talk about get on the good foot. The second time. No, this is the third time.
Excuse me.
Yeah. And they still complain.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
Yep.
Knowing that your father came from love, he only moved in love.
And only wanted to put people together.
Only wanted to bring people together. How? Come on now, you know he's not happy about the turmoil within his family?
Nope.
He's not.
And it didn't have to be that way.
And it didn't.
It didn't, because they could have come to me, and I'll tell you what, I still would have I would have let them run it. I would have moved away. I would have been cool with it. And there wouldn't be no lawyers.
They didn't even give you that opportunity, though.
No, they jumped on me. Shoot, I was out of town. We always do a show. We do a show every year at BB King's in New York City. And on Christmas Day, I was coming back. My father passed away. I started doing some OxyContin. I had to get off of him because I couldn't go on tour. In fact, we were in this country, and the doctor said, you got to stop. Your wife's coming here and getting pills. So I put myself in a rehab. They did that here in this country. They said, you got to stop. They're on to you. And I was like, I got to get off of them, babe. So my husband paid for me to go to a rehab, paid $30,000, less than 30 days before he died, for me to go in and get help. I spoke to him on Christmas Eve. He was fine. He was just fine. There was nothing wrong with him. I landed. I got a call. I was at the rehab. I said, well, first off, baby, I see you Christmas morning. I can't wait. I love you. Baby, we had the best Christmas ever. I can't wait. He said, baby, I told him what we're going to do. I said, what? He said, I told him we're going to go, and when we go to New York, and we're going to renew our vows, and we're going to basically just cut off doing all the shows and just do corporate dates and presidential dates so that I can raise my baby son and just retire, semi-retire. I told him. I said, who'd you tell? He said, he told all the people we ended up finding out after through this court case were robbing them and lying to them, and that weren't accountants and weren't lawyers. They were just thieves and drug dealers, basically. And so it is just so insane what I had to go through. I've lost my train of thought because it's all so much. What was I just saying?
You was talking about when he said, baby, I've told them.
Oh, yeah, I've told them. And I said, why did you tell them? James, why'd you tell them? Those are the ones that are against us. Those are the ones that say we got to get rid of Mrs. Brown. You know, the ones we have on tape, literally saying we have to get rid of Mrs. Brown's. You know,
she got receipts now.
Yeah, and one of my trucks actually flipped 3 times on a highway that only has semis. When I made a right-hand turn coming out of my driveway. No, this isn't right. I couldn't put the stuff away fast enough. They were trying to kill him then, and I believe they took him later because he was fine when I spoke to him. So yeah, I mean, that's all. That none of this had to happen. None of this had to happen. He was a great man. Anyway, he told them, and the next thing I knew, I got a call, Mrs. Brown, I don't think he can make it, from Mr. Bobbitt. And I said, what do you mean? He can make it? He can't do the show? He says, no, I don't think he can make it. What do you mean? Is he not feeling well? Let me talk to him. He says, well, you can't. The doctors are working on him. I said, what?
What?
He was going to the dentist to get his teeth put in. I just spoke to him a few hours ago. He said, no, they're literally trying to wake him up right now with the shockers on his. I said, you get the phone to his ear right now. You get the phone to his ear right now. So they took the phone to his ear. I said, baby, I'm here. Wait for me, please. Just wait for me. I'll be there. I'm on my way. I'm on my way. So I'm packing, I'm throwing everything. I'm screaming. I screamed so loud I everybody in the rehab, because it was like 1:30, 1:45 in the morning. And I woke up everybody. Everybody came out. What's going on with Miss Brown? What's going on? And I was just like, I was devastated. I lost all movement in my legs. I just didn't know what to do. And I got on the plane. Before I got on the plane, they said, he's not at Emory Crawford anymore. We've moved him to the house. So don't come to Emory Crawford, go straight to the house because it's too public. We wanted it to be safe so that you could see him there. So I had a layover in Atlanta where Emory Crawford is, got on a plane and went to Augusta, Georgia. When I got to my gate, there was about 6 with their hats on, sheriffs and big time Georgia policemen, like the heavy cats, holding hands on their guns, looking real mean, staring at me. 8 locks, we counted them, 8 padlocks on the gates of our front door, of our gates. He wanted these Buckingham Palace gates for Christmas. So we got him a mini version. I painted the gold leaf on them myself. They're a mini version, but still, we had a mile-long driveway, you know. We had a security guard gate. We had the American flag on a big pole. Beautiful, beautiful place. Beautiful, beautiful place. And I show up, and there's nothing but his crooked-ass management and lawyers at the time, and his family, and they were running trucks in and out, filled with stuff.
Cleaning out the house. And telling me I couldn't get in. I had nothing on me because I just come back from this rehab. Right. I had my suitcase and my 5-year-old son in the other hand. And I said, let me in there. They said, unless you show us a valid marriage certificate, you can't get in. And I said, let me in and I'll show you a valid marriage certificate. And they said, nope. They said, you're not his wife. And that was it. I literally broke down at the gates. There's photographs, there's footage of it where I was literally in tears. They got mad at me because I took a teddy bear to give to my son from the gate that somebody had left there. So I was just devastated. They was not letting me in. His daughter, Deanna, came out to me and she said, well, it's really crazy in there. We can't be letting you in right now. I said, what the fuck is going on? I said, what's happening here? You know me. They all know me. I've been a philanthropist. I give away turkeys, toys, every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, everything. Y'all know my character.
Big member of this society. They damn well know I was Mrs. Brown. Every one of them. I mean, we were getting people elected, putting people in office, making governors of that state. And they wouldn't let me in my house to prove it. That's because they had to get in the wall safe and they had to break it down. And they covered that up with wood because when I finally got in the house months later, I saw, it's gone. No more safe there. Covered with some wood behind a picture. That's how I knew. They changed the picture. I said, the picture's different over the safe. Then I also knew because we had a bigger safe that had all of our jewelry, all of our real, prized, very expensive possessions and things like that. And documents like ownership and marriage licenses and the new will, there was a new will. They ended up bringing up an old will that was before we were married and before he had a chance to change it. They brought that will in. They brought the other will in too, but they didn't bring the signed version. So Mr. Bob said, I've got the signed version. I'll bring it in. He died. Never got to bring it in. All right. Now, let me tell you another funny story. His other daughter, Yama, was married to a man who was working for this law firm in Atlanta. And he went on live television news and he said, I'm going to tell about these people that are stealing from John Brown and I think they're going to try to kill him. It was on the news. The next day, that man was shot in a gated community 8 times in his chest. He had $4,000 in his pocket and all of his gold. And his family was upstairs with his 3 babies and his wife. And they said all it was a black cat with some braids and a beanie. And he went over a fence and ain't nobody caught him yet. Now that man's gone.
Come on, that was a hit.
That was a hit.
We know what's going on.
Yep. Now, here's the other thing that makes me think they did something wrong with James Brown is I couldn't throw that shit away fast enough. I would get rid of it. I found out, he would have this code, bring my blue suit. So his man would bring a blue suit. Bring my green suit. I feel, green with some weed, and don't worry about that. I ain't telling on my husband. He told me if they ever ask you if I smoke, tell them I smoke.
Listen, baby.
That's what he said.
I wish I could have smoked one with you.
Right? I'm telling you, he was fun to smoke with. So anyway, I'm telling you. But he just got real, and a certain thing that he would smoke, I don't know where he got it from or what he did, but he used to go on top of the hill and he would literally say, now I could tell what people were doing when I go get my head clear and I do this, I could see what they're doing to me. And I'll tell you what, I have seen many times when that man, I'm sorry, I'm tearing up a little bit. So my eyelash trying to fall off. So he would come back and he would get on the phone. He'd say, all right, where's my money? I saw you take my money. He would have these cats so scared, they would show up within an hour, shaking, and they'd be in their fancy, shiny shoes and their suits, and big, fat, white cats walking towards the door and bringing his money. Sorry, Mr. Brown, here's your money. I don't know how he knew. I don't know what he did on that hill. I'm sure he was praying, like I watched him do many days for hours on end, but he got them, and they would come bring the money. One time, the guy was walking back. Mr. Cannon was walking back to the car after leaving him some money. He said, baby, come here. Look a minute. He's going to fall 5 times before he reaches the car. Right hand of God. That man slipped and fell on the asphalt at least 4 times before he hit his car. He was so scared and running so fast. And he knew he was going to slip. He said, you can't wear those shoes on that asphalt. So he knew he was going to slip and fall. I was like, how'd you know he was going to fall? He said, I got to dance in those shoes. That's how I do the James Brown. You ain't walking on asphalt in shoes like that. And I'm like, and he was scared. You see him shaking? I said, yeah. I said, how did you know he took money? I told you when I smoke, I smoke, I smoke, I smoke. I said, okay, all right. I mean, James Brown just knew things. He just knew things.
He had that discernment.
Yeah, he did. He did. He had that. And he was very, very into his biblical scripture.
Yes,
and he was he didn't allow no cursing in his house. When we did the James Brown Get On Up film, they gave me a script to okay. And there was MF and N-word and all and GD. Let me tell you something. I said kiss my ass once in my house and I woke up 15 minutes later. That man did not curse, ever. I told them I'm not signing off on this. I said people in the band get fined for cursing. When you take every one of those curse words out of his mouth, then I'll sign it. So they did. They actually ended up putting in the film him fining Bobby Bird for saying on the plane, did you cuss on the plane, Bobby? Yeah, well, good. At least they did that for him. But every other thing they made dirty. And I also have a reason I think they did that. Because he told me a story once, and Mick Jagger produced this film. He told me a story about when he did the Tammy show with Mick Jagger, and he was the headliner, and Stones were the opener. And Mick said, I ain't opening for James Brown. I ain't opening for him. We don't open for people. This is, we're the Rolling Stones. James said, it's all right. I'll open. Now, I was James Brown's hairdresser, his wife, his background singer, and his makeup artist.
Everything.
I know what those white towels look like after a gig. They look like a bunch of blue paint from the hair dye. They look like a bunch of black makeup and a wet mess, a hot mess these towels were. He said that he killed the stage, and I've watched the performance. He did. I think that's how Mick learned to dance, just trying to keep up with James Brown that day. But he threw the towel in his face and said, follow that. And I honestly do believe that Mick Jagger held that with him for that many years. Because all he did was show him in jail. That man did so many other things.
Come on.
It opened with him going to jail. It was in the middle he went to jail. And in the end he went to jail. Not one thing about him going to Nixon and begging him and risking losing all of those fans by talking to Nixon because they didn't understand it, to beg to be the first black entertainer to go perform for people in Vietnam.
Come on now.
Because they would not allow black performers before James Brown. He was the first.
The first.
And he had to go to Nixon to ask, and he lost half of his fans because of it. Because they didn't understand it, because they're uneducated, and they planned it that way.
And the nerve of the film director to only show
that part of his life
incarcerated.
When he did so many things, he was the first man. He had the gold platter, first black man to ever own a fucking restaurant. First man.
First.
Yeah, in the South, in the deep South, the gold platter, and be successful. He had his own money, girlfriend. He had his own money, his own food stamps with James Brown's face on them, his own food stamps that people could get food with. Yes, he did. What? He had his own stamps you could get food with. He was the first black restaurateur. He used to shine shoes in front of the 3 radio stations that he, at that time now, had owned. But he first had to shine shoes and buck dance for shoulders to take him to Aunt Honey's, to the whorehouse, where he'd have to sleep next to him on a bed where people are doing all their mess so that he could eat, breathing through a reed. in the Georgia swamps getting air just because he had to run some numbers for some gangsters just to survive. I mean, this cat did nothing but hustle his whole life and work his whole life to do nothing but bring music and togetherness and love to the people. Didn't do one racial, hateful thing in his entire career, and that's all they could come up with. Shit, I can make a movie. I'm gonna make a movie. Sure, I'm gonna make a movie. You better believe I'll make a movie.
Please
I'm gonna tell it all because there's so much about that, man.
We need to see his legacy shown the right way.
The real thing. We need
to see it shown the right way.
Well.
Bottom line.
Bottom
line, enough is enough.
My chair's like little
enough
over here.
is enough. How many of our legends and our icons do they belittle, take away the whole legacy of them, and then try to make it sound? I mean, we could even talk about Michael Jackson. I mean, come on.
Oh, no, I'll tell you about Michael Jackson. At the funeral, oh, Lord have mercy. Oh, this is something else. All right, so at the funeral, you'll see, you can look it up. The first funeral, Reverend Sharpton, of course, jumped on that one, just like he jumped on Michael's. Good for Chadwick Boseman. He had him. He said he's not allowed. Chadwick Boseman didn't allow him, even at the funeral.
Wow.
So that's saying something.
That's deep.
That's deep. We love you, Chadwick. Anyway.
We know you be tap dancing.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
that's right. So on the stage, I get up to go talk. You know, you got Gregory, you got everybody up there. You got all the icons, Dick Gregory, all the icons up there. You got Michael Jackson, everybody up there. And Reverend Sharpton has the mic. Everybody else, Deanna Brown's talking. All the kids are talking. They wouldn't let me talk. I'm like, I said, Mr. Sharpton, let me say something. He just ignored me. So I grabbed the mic. It's on CNN. I grabbed the mic out of Sharpton's hand. I said, I am Mrs. Brown. That is my husband. Literally in the casket. Right below me, I pointed at him, looking at his dead face, all suited and booted up in his sparkly outfit and makeup. And I said, that was my husband, and I loved him. And I handed the mic back to Reverend Sharpton. And he turned around, and he looked at me and said, I was trying to be nice to you. Now I ain't going to be nice no more. I was escorted out by two big, huge Muslim dudes of the back of the building, told to leave. I did. I then went to the second funeral, because that night we were all staying at the same hotel. Sharpton said, you want to come with us tomorrow to walk down 125th Street and to do the Apollo thing? I'm sure he would have wanted you there. I said, you think? I said, you think, Reverend Sharp Tongue?
Reverend.
Yeah. I said, you think? And so I got a call the next morning at the hotel. My girlfriend, she worked there, because I was well known in the community. And I did a lot for the community. I helped field AIDS houses. Everything, because our daughter had AIDS. His daughter had AIDS.
Wow.
And they let her die on the street too. They just dressed her up for interviews, but she died on the street too.
What?
And she told me, said, Mama Ray, I can't, but they'll disown me if I deal with you. I said, all right, I understand what's happening here. So anyway, he says, you could ride with us. She says, they're trying to leave without you, girl. I said, what? We don't leave for another 2 hours. No, they're trying to leave, and they're all really nervous you're going to catch them. You better get your ass down here, or you're not going to go to New York. And I said, oh, man. I ran downstairs. It was too late. They already left. I had to ask my mother, because they cut off all my bank accounts. My mother ain't no rich woman. She was my nanny. She didn't make that much being my nanny. You know, James Brown bought her a house and gave her a few bucks every week. That was it. So she went on a credit card. She gave me $3,500 to go to the Apollo. And I went there, and I met with this famous producer. And I met with him first, because he said, no, come here first. Mrs. Brown doesn't just show up in a cab. We need to send you in one of our limos. We want you to show up right. And he went with me. He even went with a little hidden camera on his coat and went with me. So we went into that funeral together. And they tried to stop me, and Sharpton said, no, you got to let her in. It was already halfway over. Already missed the 125th Street procession walk, which is exactly what they wanted. Got in there. Somebody gave me like 24 roses. I handed them out to everybody in the audience and gave them a hug. And said goodbye to my husband. And they said, you got to go now. But if you want, meet us in the back at the white limousine, and you go with us to the airport after the show. I said, great. After the show. It's my husband's funeral after the show. I said, okay, I'll do that. So I went out. I didn't bring my son to this one, because he had already endured the first one where they told us to get in the third row, because the first row is for family, and didn't allow me to speak over him, and then had us escorted out. So the second one, I said, okay, I'll meet you out there. I went out there. Let me tell you, I had my black dress on, my heels, my black stockings. I had everything on. I was dressed, in my widow's gear, totally respectful, dressed nicely to honor my husband and his life, thinking that they were going to actually finally come right. And I go out there, they're all in the car, and they start up that car and start driving away. And I'm like, hello, stop. And literally, they're driving just fast enough for me to have to take off my heels and run. I had runs in my stockings. I had runs all the way up here by the time I got to the airport. And the only thing that saved me, and I'll tell you what happened, and this is deep. This is why I think something funny happened with James. One of the other reasons, I was left there by myself. They drove away. All the kids in the car and Al Sharpton. They drove away, leaving me by myself behind the Apollo at midnight in Harlem, a white girl. Somebody was supposed to meet me, but God sent somebody else because a cab went by and I was scared. I could feel it. I said, there's something bad's going to happen. Something bad's going to happen. Something really bad. I can feel it. I can feel something bad. Really bad. I was really nervous and I saw his cab and I said, taxi, as loud as I could. I screamed. I was just absolutely insanely screaming as loud as I could. He didn't stop. I was like, somebody's going to come get me. I could feel it. All of a sudden, I said, God, please help me. Please help me. Please, somebody's going to come get me. I just know it. All of a sudden, red lights on the back of the cab. He flips a bitch, comes around. He says, what are you doing back here? I said, I'm Mrs. Brown. I was just at my husband's funeral, and now I've been left here all by myself, and I've got to get to the airport, or I'm going to miss my flight. They left me. And he said, get in the car, and he gave me a free ride to the airport, man. I got there so fast behind them. That's how good the Lord is. I got there fast enough from them leaving me behind in the back of the Apollo by myself at midnight in Harlem, in enough time for two people in between me and Nisi, that is now, God rest her soul. And I said, what happened, Nisi, in the security line? What happened? What happened? You guys saw me running. He said, I'm sorry, Mama Ray, I couldn't stop. They'll leave me out. They'll let me die on the streets because she was a junkie and she had AIDS and she said, they'll leave me on the streets. I said, baby, she was gay. They didn't like that, and I just understood her, man. And she said, I'm sorry. I said, well, what were you saying in the car? She said, they were saying wave goodbye to Tawana Brawley. You know who fucking Tawana Brawley is? One of Reverend Sharpton's biggest marches, one of the first marches that he did that caught a lot of acclaim was about this young girl called Tawana Brawley. And she was a young black woman who was out partying with her friends all night, didn't want to get in trouble by her parents. So instead, they said a bunch of white boys raped her and beat the shit out of her and threw her in a dumpster. So that's Tawana Brawley. So when I hear that somebody's saying wave goodbye to Tawana Brawley, I knew exactly what that meant. I don't think I was supposed to leave that parking lot. And that is one of the reasons, one of the few or many reasons of why me and my son are here on asylum right now, because we were given so many death threats. So many times they've tried to get rid of us, and the good Lord has seen fit to keep me here for some reason. And I think it's to tell James Brown's truth.
Absolutely. It is. And to have you here today is such an honor to be able to hear this truth the way that it is being heard for the first time. Because like you said, he didn't have good people around him in his last days. They wouldn't want this to get out.
No, they don't want this to get out.
But the truth always prevails. It don't matter how long it takes.
Mm-hmm. What's done in the dark comes to the light.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And how could you call yourself a reverend?
And how could you call yourself a child of a man that gave you everything you wanted? Because you were so jealous that I had a son that he wanted to give his name because he thought he would be president one day, because his first way he ever was going to get into the white community is by having a son that was half white.
Wow.
Saying he was going to do more than he ever did.
Yes.
We went to get my sonogram. He was so upset because he lost his first son, died, Teddy. He loved his son, Teddy. He looked just like him. He lost him. He died. He got in a very mysterious way. A car accident. He was with a couple black guys, a couple white ladies, a couple white boys. An accident in which they should not have been demolished the way they were. They were literally hacked to pieces. Wow. It was a pretty traumatic death for his first son, and it really hit him hard. There was a big, huge picture on our wall of him. That also, have no idea where any of it went. We have nothing. So anyway.
Disgusting.
It is disgusting. Anyway, when we walked in to get my sonogram, he was all bummed out. He's like, yeah, it'll probably be another girl. I'm like, baby, this is our love child, honey. It's going to be all right. We just name her, we'll name her TomiRae after my daddy. It'll be a third, And the doctor said, Mr. Brown, I think you ought to come here and look at this. And he said, you see that? And he said, yeah. Yeah. He said, it's a penis, Mr. Brown. He did the James Brown. Lord have mercy. He slipped, he danced, he skipped, he turned around. He went to my stomach. He kissed it. He said, all right, you ain't got nothing more to do with it. It's a man child. That's up to the man. You don't get to name it. You don't have nothing to do with it. A lady child's for the lady. This is a man child. It's for the man. Now you're going to have to stay out of this for a while. This. I'm going to take over from here. And it was the happiest day of my life because that man finally had hope again, after being so beaten, because he knew everything that was going on. He saw it. He cried. I imagine holding the legendary James Brown in your arms more than twice. I mean, for sure, maybe, certainly more than that. Weeping, saying, God, please take me away from this indentured servitude. Begging for the Lord to take his life. I'm like, what do I do with this? This is James Brown. I just rubbed his hair. I kissed his forehead. Baby, it's going to be all right. You know? And these people still trying to hate on him and then hating on his wife and son, the only two people that were around ever. He didn't allow nobody in. In fact, his children, I tried to reconnect them on Thanksgiving before he died. I made a big spread. They were all around the table, all his kids, all the grandkids. He went to his room. He said, knock on the door and tell me when they're done. Bring me my plate of food. Tell me when they're gone. They said, Daddy ain't coming out. I said, he doesn't want to see you. And then on Christmas Day, they locked me out. The same way he locked them out.
Wow.
And that's facts.
Wow. Because James, even then, he knew.
He said, I already gave him everything.
These are my children, but
he said, I
look
gave
at
him
how
everything.
They're treating me, though.
Yeah, that's what he said.
It wasn't no love.
No, that's what he said. He said, I gave him everything.
They looked at him as some type of prized possession, as a thing that the world looked at him as.
He said, baby, he said, they got everything. Why are you trying? He said, they don't like you a bit. He said, why do you keep trying? They don't like you a bit. Don't believe them. They don't like you a bit, honey. I'm like, well, that's not true, James. They love me. I'm good to them. Baby, they don't like you a bit. You're a white woman married to James Brown. Don't nobody like you a bit. I'm like, wow, this is some harsh truth, but it was true. You know, they don't like you a bit. I mean, I'm telling you, he did everything he could to make things right for these children. He said, I gave them college educations. I did everything. I've got junkies dying in the street, buying crack in the streets. Another one that won't stop doing this. Another one won't stop doing that. Gave them all college education. And none of them ever done nothing. And now I finally got my baby son here, and I got my namesake. He's going to be president one day. He's going to do more than I ever did. And I just don't want them in it. I don't want them to ruin what we got. And I think that, you know, I found out later they were recording and filming everything in our house in the courts. They ended up trying to catch something of me doing wrong. But they didn't catch one thing. In fact, it backfired on them because it showed my husband being a man, which I already knew what James Brown was. I knew damn well alleged needed a whole lot more sex than I could provide. I had no problem. As long as I knew what the hell was going on, I was all right with it because I understood it. I understood my husband. I knew what he needed. And if I had to leave town for a little while to get a break, I was there with him 24/7. Every year I would get like 2 weeks away. That's it. See my family, that's it. Other than that, it was James Brown, James Brown, James Brown. I held his top coat. I had to have everything in it. I did everything for him. And when I'm away, fine. Right. Let this lady take care of you. She's the lady that got me the job. She was the lady that was with him the day he died. Found out later she put a couple tablets in one of his drinks. Because she was angry. She asked for a raise. Because I spoke to James after that, before he went into the doctor. He said, Candace left. Candace Hurst, the blonde girl on the stage. She said, well, I was a blonde girl on the stage once too, but one of the girls. Candace asked for a raise, and I told her no. She got really upset, and she left. After rolling so many cigarettes up filled with that mess that was killing him, that the next day he died of congestive heart failure. And let me tell you what Deanna said to me at the gates when they had me locked out. She said it took me 2 hours to clean up his bedroom floor. I said, really? How long did it take you to dirty up mine?
What was going on? Because
I had a bedroom across from my son's room because he was a baby. Didn't want to disturb my husband in our room. So I said, how long did it get you to dirty mine? And they did dirty mine. They put makeup all over the counters and took pictures of it. And what they were cleaning up off the floor was evidence
Of course.
Yes, was evidence because he used to empty out cigarettes and then have them meticulously put in with tobacco and this mess that they were giving him. And I wouldn't do it. I said, I won't do it. So he said, so Candace would do it. And Candace even says, well, she won't do it. It's in her book. Well, his wife won't do it, so I did it for him. In her book.
The nerve of you.
In her book. She said, well, his wife wouldn't roll him for him, so I did. Well, she also put 2 things inside tablets of pills. Now, my husband was against pills because his prior wife died of a pill overdose after a liposuction surgery. She didn't have that fat to hold that weight. You get liposuction, you can't do the same drugs. You can't do the same thing
it's a lot of
because
risk.
that weight is what sucks up the drugs. And if you just got rid of 20 pounds, then that's going straight to your heart, man. It's going straight to your bloodstream.
Right.
So she did that. Somebody came and visited her, gave her a smoke of the same stuff, PCP. Because around the South, it's really big, they got a funeral home. They use that embalming fluid. That's what that mess is. So they brought it to her. She was dead. She was dead within an hour after waking up fine from that surgery. She took her medications and she took whatever that man brought her to smoke. So they got rid of her because they were together forever. He even asked me before we got married if I would mind if he got buried next to her. Next to her. And I said, no, I'll bury you wherever you want, baby. They really, really did do it. Now, this same lady, Candace, that was with him the night he died, that left him alone to die, and to just whatever happened, she admits to it. It's not a problem. She had a bag where she saved clips of his hair, and she was putting them between these 2 stacks of plastic and selling them online. She also had a pair of shoes, high-heeled shoes, that she wore the night they were together because she said she had to wear her high-heeled stockings and her high heels and her suits and dance around for him and roll his cigarettes. So she saved this in a black bag. They caught her trying to dump this black bag off of a river into a girl's hand that actually used to work for James Brown, who said, drop it off to me. Dropped it off to her, and it went in to the police. They had everything that he smoked and died from on the bottom of her shoes. That woman is not in jail. And she lives in Augusta, Georgia. Now, when my husband, they did not let me in the gates of my place, me and my son drove away in my car. Oh, I had about 6 cars of my own, not to mention the 13-car driveway that he had.
Okay.
They brought me the least valuable car of them all. And they said, here, you can take this one. Great. I got in it with my son, not 10 minutes after I leave that locked gate with my baby son, both of us manic, in tears, shaking. I get pulled over by the cops. I say, I'm sorry, I'm Mrs. Brown. I'm sorry, was I driving erratically? My husband just died. They locked the doors. I'm sorry, officer. He said, I know who you are, and I hope you're on your way out of town because there's a lot of places for girls to go missing in the Georgia swamps. I'm like, okay, all right. This is real.
Oh, this is evil.
This is real. And my son was sitting there. He's like, Mama, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine, son. Just don't say anything. Just don't say anything. He said, you'll be on your way now. I said, yes, sir. And he walked away, and I drove away, and I left at midnight with my son, and I've been running ever since. And thank God for Queen and Country and the Home Office and my lawyers at the Home Office who worked so hard and so diligently on our case to give me a special circumstance and allow me and my son to be here safely in this country. And I will thank them forever because here my son got an excellent education at one of the top 20 best schools in England, and they accepted him right away. He did his GCSEs, and he worked really hard, and he passed them. And I'm so proud of that boy because I took him away from such madness, and he came out so beautifully.
Yes.
So blessed.
Look at the circumstances, y'all. Understand, this hasn't been easy for her at all. For her to be able to spend great moments with the love of her life and then to have to deal with so much evilness, unfairness, belittlement, inhumane treatment. I mean, let's call it what it is.
Yeah, I can't even go see him.
She's not even being treated like a human being.
No.
What is this?
Yeah, I'm not even allowed to go. I don't even want to go. Even my lawyers say it's not safe for me back in the South. They told me not to come back to the South. So basically my husband's body's in the South. I can't ever see him again unless I want to risk something happening to me or my son when I go to the South. So I just have to remember what I have left, and that is this wedding ring on my finger.
Yes, yes.
And that is all they left me with.
Y'all should be disgusted the people who did him wrong, what did you say that lady name was? Was it Candace?
Candace Hurst.
Candace Hurst.
She got me the job and she took him out too.
Baby.
She better get
your
real.
days
are coming.
On the rest for eternity. Your days are numbered, baby. Mm-hmm. And that ain't no threat. That's just the realness of what it is. Yeah. Because it does not matter how long it takes to come back. It's going to come back.
That's right.
You not peaceful. That's why you didn't have to write a book and do all of this and do all of that. Baby, you're not living in peace.
No.
Even through all the hell that you went through, I still get a peace out of your energy because you were real.
You know what?
Because you were genuine.
Do you know what? She had nowhere to go after James died. I invited her to my home in Las Vegas. She came. Brought all of her stuff. She came. I introduced her to my scene. She ended up going out with the guy that plays Wayne Newton in the Legends show, right? So she ends up going out with him. I'm like, cool. She starts doing her little singing and stuff. And she tells me one night, let me tell you what really happened. She showed me the things of hair in between the things. She showed me her shoes that were in a plastic bag. She showed me that bag. I immediately started chucking shit out my front door. I said, you know you're going next, right? You better leave before I grabbed your ass by the hair because you are going out of my house. You gotta call somebody to pick you up. And she was gone. She called him. The guy picked her up in his Cadillac, the Wayne Newton lookalike. Picked her up, and that was the last time I saw her, and I hope I never see her again. I saw her on the news talking all that mess about how she loves my son so much, and she was such good friends with me, and she's really sorry about what happened, but she was supposed to be the one that was supposed to have James Brown II, and she was the one that was supposed to be his husband, his wife, and I'm like, girl, you're a racist. You don't even like black folks.
Come on, call it for what it is. Bullshit.
Shit.
Woo, you should be listen, y'all, okay? I hope you feel the energy of this interview, okay? I hope you can feel the pain and the passion throughout this queen's story. She's giving us exclusive information that I don't know if anybody else has gotten. I feel even honored to hear his truth, because anytime, I'm gonna just keep it real, anytime anybody dies in the music industry, I'm always suspecting some type of foul play. Because I understand how the higher ups move, and I understand it's only about money. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if we can get you out the way and continue to make money off your legacy, we'll do that.
Well,
you see what I'm saying?
Well,
so I just appreciate you in the realness. Okay.
Well.
Okay. Listen. We're going to go into a commercial break. We're going to get into some advertisements. We're going to get into our news correspondent. Mm-hmm. And we're going to be right back with more of this riveting.
Yeah, we want to talk about what Michael Jackson said.
Interview,
too, yes. When we get back.
When we come right on back.
That's right.
Y'all stay tuned.
Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, welcome in Amsterdam. How are you doing?
Very welcome.
Have a good concert tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And for the first time in Paradiso.
Good to be back here.
Okay, thank you.
Love you.
Oh, prachtig.
Great show last night. Thank you very much. Great show. Thank you. How you doing?
Hi. How you doing today? You had a good time in Amsterdam?
Very good.
Bye.
I hope to see you next year.
Bye-bye.
Bye. You're the best. Thank you. One moment.
Bye-bye. Thank you for the music. Thank you for the music.
Thank you for your music, man.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown.
Bye-bye. Gotta go. Gotta go.
Bye-bye. Wie is dat? Wie is dat?
James Brown!
Yeah.
Yay! welcome back. Welcome back to the Morning Flavor, baby. We are having such a great interview. I mean, this is heartfelt. This is passionate. And I just appreciate your realness, your vulnerability, and even being okay with sharing this side of the story, Queen. I'm forever grateful. So I know you said you wanted to get into something Michael Jackson said. I would love to hear.
Well, Michael was he was a great man, and first let me say that I don't believe that he was guilty of any of that.
Me neither. And let me say it with you, loud and proud.
Michael Jackson is innocent.
Stop playing with his legacy.
Yeah, stop messing with him. You already got his music. Leave his life alone.
Stop.
I'm losing an eyelash over this, y'all. This is serious.
Take it off. That's the realness.
This is what's happening right here. You know, these tears. You know, thank you, magnetic eyelashes. Yeah, they're great for tears.
Come on, magnetic.
Anyway, magnetic, get that straight. Right? What? That's a new thing, magnetic eyelashes, right?
Real new.
Well, you can't even cry with them on. That's a problem. I have the same problem on stage. I could use lacquer, too. Anyway, no, Michael was a good man, and he was a good friend, and he was lovely. And at the first funeral of my husband's, when they asked me and my son to move from the first row to the third row, because Mr. Bobbitt, his manager at the time, he's passed away now, the one that had the will that was signed, that took that with him to the grave, asked me to go in the third row because the first row was for family. And I said, I am family. And he said, please, Mrs. Brown, don't cause a scene. Just get up and go to the third row. I said, all right, I'll do that.
Calling you Mrs. Brown.
Yeah. I said, all right, I'll do that for you, Mr.
Knowing your family.
Ooh. I'll do that, Mr. Bobbitt. I'll do that for you, just so I don't cause a scene. So I got up with my son, stood up, walked, doubled back around. Michael Jackson sitting with all the bad guys that end up going to jail and dying since then and getting caught, sitting right on the end next to them. And I went right up to them and I shook each of their hands. I said, I just want to thank you so much for what you did to my husband. And I said, everybody's going to know what you did. And Michael said to me later, he said, I'm sorry. He said, I couldn't say anything. He said, but they're doing the same thing to me too. I wish I could help you, Mrs. Brown. And that is some words that I will forever hear, because these artists, you know, like the Juice WRLD and like all these people, like Michael Jackson, like Prince. Come on, I've been to Paisley Park. He got 20 million people working for him. How does somebody not find him in an elevator for hours? This is crazy. And then they get James Brown, Michael Jackson, and Prince all in one swoop. This is wrong, people. Then they get Juice WRLD. And then they get everybody that's telling the truth. Anybody's trying to help somebody with a
Nipsey.
problem.
Come on.
Nipsey, Hussle,
Come on.
all of them. Come on, this is not right. This is not right. At least Snoop Dogg is out there doing something, you know, trying to give back. He gives back. You go look at Long Beach, California. You better know Snoop's got that under control. Snoop Dogg's my man. He's cool.
Say what Michael Jackson said one more time.
He said to me, I'm sorry, Mrs. Brown. I wish I could help you, but they're doing the same thing to me.
They're doing the same thing to me. They're doing the same thing to me. I hope that's giving y'all some type of different perspective for the people who don't, you know, who are just so easily swayed by the media. I didn't have to know this man's heart, but my intuition told me that he was just another victim of what this industry is. He told this queen at her husband's funeral after she was being treated less than human-like. I don't even know if she wasn't even being treated like, I mean, come on. He said, they are doing the same to me.
Yeah. He said, I wish I could help you.
I wish I could help. But I'm under attack right now.
That's right.
He was even pleading. That was his plea.
That was his crying out.
That was his crying out.
He knew he wasn't going to make those shows. He knew he wasn't. How do you put a man like that on those kind of drugs? Bringing him to the brink of death and waking him up. And then leaving the room. Come on, man.
Come on.
Are we that stupid? Are we going for this jive? Are we going to keep on believing these people?
For real, y'all?
Really?
Seriously? It's not rocket science. Come on. If you just take a second to think.
Yeah. You know, thank you, Jesus, that we have this outlet. And thank you that we have the sound bank here is going to be able to get this out to some people. And thank God for you being called here, because this is your calling. You really, you're going to get a whole lot of truth. And not just from me, but from many, many people, because people are tired. People are tired of this mess, and they are gonna. It's gonna start coming out. Everything's gonna start coming out, and it needs to. You know, I'm the only one in the family who hasn't written a book, and yeah, I'm the only one.
Because you are a walking book, and this ain't about money for you.
No, it's not.
You see what I'm saying?
No, it's about the truth.
It's about the truth. And we would still love a book, if you know what I mean, if it comes to that.
Yeah.
Because we know what you're doing it for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, they all wrote books, and they have one nice thing to say about them. You know, my son lost his father. He was 5 years old. I know the memories my son has. And believe me, from the minute he found out it was a boy, I didn't have much time with my son. It was always with his daddy. Where's James? With daddy.
Wow.
With daddy. With daddy.
Wow.
With daddy.
Wow.
I didn't have none of that until he was gone. Then it was all mommy. But, you know, I mean, it's just so much. There's just so much that could have been done differently. This doesn't have to happen to more entertainers and their families. This doesn't have to happen. He was 5 years old. I know his memories. These books, he was with them till they were 5 years old. And they have memories. One of the lines in one of their books is, and we used to hide under the table and bish, bash, boom. He would punch my mother and slap my mother, and he would beat her to a bloody pulp, and we would sit under the same table every single time. And we would always go to, that was our special table, whenever he got in a rage. I'm like, that's a whole lot of information for a 5-year-old to remember. I got a 5-year-old that lost his daddy at 5, and let me tell you, he don't have a memory that clear. Whose memories are you telling?
For real.
Maybe they're your mama's memories, but they sure ain't yours. They sure aren't mine, because that is not my experience with Mr. Brown. All that man ever did for me is teach me how to be a lady. You know, I got fined when I didn't put a napkin on my lap in a limousine, in a limousine on my lap when there wasn't even anybody in the limousine with us. That man was a gentleman. That man taught me how to be a lady. I was a rock and roller, thug, gangster in an all-girl rock band that had everything we wanted in Hollywood, California for 10 years. I thought I was the business. I thought I had it all. That man he broke me down. He broke me, and then he rebuilt me. And he told me everything that was going to happen. He even told me who was going to do it. He told me how he knew the people and what they were doing. He used to tell me when to stay out of things. I would get in trouble. Don't do that. Stay out of that. That's going to get you in trouble. Don't say that. He knew everything. But he said, you tell it. Tell it all. Tell it. Tell it. He said, I didn't marry you because you were the prettiest girl in the room. I married you because you were a fighter. Woo! And James Brown was a boxer, so yeah, he knew a fighter when he saw one. And I will fight.
I see a fighter. I see them gloves on. I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. Come on.
There need to be some knockouts.
He couldn't put that assignment on nobody else. No. Nobody else was fit.
No.
They might have thought they were.
Oh, she thought she was.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But no. You are still standing.
And my son is a straight A student, passes GCSEs, writes and creates music
and
24/7, and beautiful and kind and loving. He don't curse. He don't swear. He's so gentle. He's so honest. And he is gorgeous and so talented. It's sick. I thought I wrote music a lot. I've got 3 different bands. I've always had at least 2 bands in my whole life. The only time I didn't, even with James Brown, I had my other band, Hardly Dangerous. And my maid of honor was my bass player, Bethany.
Wow.
Bethany was my maid of honor. And she was my bass player in Hardly Dangerous, you know? So, I mean, I always had at least 2 bands going. Even with James Brown, I would be able to go and do a couple gigs with Hardly Dangerous in Hollywood and see my family at the Rainbow Bar and Grill. He would allow me. Oh, let me tell you that story. That's a fun story. Here's a good one. So we were playing the Hollywood Bowl, and we got finished. And I said, James, I've been telling about the Rainbow Bar and Grill because they saved me from child abuse and being on the streets as a runaway. I was 13. They gave me a job. They didn't know I was so young until I ripped off this girl's tip cup. And she took my time card and found out I was too young to work there. I'm sorry for stealing your money, Eileen. But yeah, we're friends now anyway. But it's my bad, Eileen. I did take her tip cup. She made a lot more than I did. Anyway, yeah, I was struggling. It was hard. I was young. I was 14.
Yeah.
Anyway, So he would let me go do gigs and stuff like that and come back. And I was always telling him about the Rainbow Bar. Oh, these people saved my life, honey. He said, oh, baby, that's really good. So we get done with Hollywood Bowl. We come up in our limousine, come up to Rainbow to go meet Mario, the owner, Mario Maglieri, and Michael Maglieri, my heart. Call him Elvis. I'm his Priscilla. And they're still my family today. And we walked up out of the limousine, and he goes, Jimmy! And James goes, Mario! They knew each other from the 1960s. He said, baby, we just thought it was funny. He said, we know each other really well. We just thought it was really funny. We thought it was cute that you thought we didn't know each other. You think I don't know Mr. Maglieri? I was like, wow. So I was like totally played like a fool for like years. I was talking about the Maglieri family. And literally Mario, rest his heavenly beautiful soul, he's in heaven now. And Michael Maglieri was like, Jimmy, you know, he's an old cat from Chicago. He used to drive for Al Capone and his wife, Scarlett. We used to do the numbers. So these are old Chicago cats that, you know, beautiful. They own the whiskey and the Rainbow, and they're just lovely people. They help people, and they helped me. Yes. They kept me off the streets, you know. They used to let me sleep above the Rainbow. There's this place that had a red velvet rope, and only certain people would go up there. And Mario used to let me sleep up there, and he used to let me have chicken soup, which was Scarlett Maglieri. She's still with us, God bless her, has this famous chicken soup recipe, and they used to give me chicken soup. When Eileen got me busted and got me fired for working there when I was too young, he said, well, you know, you can't work here anymore. I can't have that. And he said, well, you can still come in for a cup of soup if you need somewhere to sleep. So they really did help me out a lot. But to see that, and then James said to me in the car on the way back after that happened, we had a nice dinner, and Bethany was there, my whole band was there, and, you know, everybody was there. And we were in the car, and he said to me, Mario gave me my first white woman. I said, what? He said, he gave me my first white woman. I said, what are you talking about? He said, yeah, he took me the whiskey a go-go. He said, have whatever one you want. And I pointed at this white woman in the case. I said, even that one? He said, yeah, even that one. He said, just go and wait by your hotel and wait for a knock on the door. And he said he had that white woman and a couple others too.
Okay. Don't play with James.
So, he does not play. So they were quite close and had known each other for years. But it was a funny little joke that they had played on me. And so he felt very safe for me to ever, on my trips when I would be able to leave for a couple weeks, I was allowed to go to L.A. And as long as I was with them, it was okay with Mr. Brown.
Yes.
See, I still call him Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Because it's a respect thing, you know. It's just, you know, he worked so hard for that name.
Yes.
So I find myself still calling him Mr. Brown, or my husband, you know. But usually, that's just where I go. I don't.
Yes.
I don't know. I just don't say James all that often.
Yes.
You know, and little man's little man. You know.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Wow, that's beautiful. So I know James Brown II was so young when his father passed. Have you tried? Well, not even. I know you. Let me rephrase that. I know you haven't tried. How have you kept his memory alive so your son can always feel a sense of his father?
You know, I didn't have to, because I live, eat, and breathe his father.
Yes.
I have nothing but pictures, everything that I was able to save. When I was allowed back into the house for a matter of 15 minutes to get an outfit for the Grammys that happened after he passed away. And all
15 minutes.
Yes, 15 minutes to get it dressed that was proper. And his kids were all there, their lawyers, my lawyers. All of my things were just thrown into boxes, which I didn't receive, most of them. And I went and I picked out a dress, and I said, well, all of you, I'm going to the Grammys. I didn't know. I'm like, you know, if you all have it cleared to go or not, just let me know. I'll make sure you can go too. And they're all just looking at me like this. They already had it covered at the Grammys. I just didn't know. I was just trying to be nice, and I felt it was a very hard thing.
Yes.
But David Cannon, who's passed away, one of the managers, he was a manager and a accountant. We found out in court didn't even have a CPA's license. He was actually the janitor who sat down, and James walked in to this high-paid accountant's office in all of his bravado. Mr. Brown, how are you? You're the best accountant. And the janitor sat in a chair and became James Brown's accountant. Came out in court that he didn't even have a CPA's license.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So it was pretty bad. But what he said to me that really, really sticks in my ears is I was trying to get pictures, whatever I could, of me and my husband. Luckily, my bass player, Bethany, her husband at the time, was a photographer, and he was the only camera allowed at my wedding. And he was taking the pictures, so I was able to get some photographs. But I was trying to get some pictures, and they said any photographs of Mr. Brown and Miss Ray, because they wouldn't call me Mrs. Brown, and Miss Ray need to be torn in half because she's not allowed to have the name and likeness. They were ripping up my pictures, literally ripping pictures of me and my husband together in half.
In front of you.
My face. So I was like, I was livid. My lawyers are like, just take it easy. Be cool, Miss Brown. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. I knew they were scared, more scared than I was. So I went back to the back room where my son's bedroom was because I had decorated my son's bedroom. It was so beautiful, with clouds in the sky, and it was just so beautiful. And I went and acting like I was putting some of my clothes in there, and I was just taking some of the pictures I could find and just putting them in the suitcase. And they were saying, check every suitcase before she leaves. Check every suitcase before she leaves. They were checking everything before I left.
Like you just was some type
like
of
I
criminal.
was just some kind of criminal. And I built this house, by the way. I got there, it was a 3-bedroom ranch-style home, and it had a little fountain in front. Now it's a 10,000 square foot beautiful mansion it's just beautiful. He even built a big, huge wall around the pool with one-sided windows so nobody could see me sunbathing. This is how James Brown was. He didn't want nobody looking at his woman. He didn't want the workers to be seeing me swimming. We built this house together so that he could share it with his fans.
Yes.
This is where he wanted to be buried. These are the promises he made me keep. You make sure that half of my money goes to these kids so they can get a college education that would no otherwise get a chance to have one for the James Brown Scholarship Fund. You make sure this happens, and then you and my son will have the rest of it. And this is what he told me.
Yes.
So this is what I did and why I worked so hard, because it's what he wanted me to do. And I did that. And I fought 14 years in court doing that.
Yes.
And thank God that court date is finally over. And thank God everybody has come to terms in this private settlement agreement to where we can go on with our lives. Listen, I forgive you, children. You are children.
Yes.
You are children.
Yes.
And I forgive you for the mistakes that you have made. I cannot forgive you for what God is going to have when you come to that judgment, because that judgment is something that you have to come to terms with, why you are still feeling the way you're feeling.
Why they haven't
or
forgiven
why
you.
you haven't forgiven me, or why you blame me or your little brother, but you are missing out on knowing this fine young man. You are the reason why we are all waiting. You are the reason, because you did not trust me enough to come and talk to me first. Instead of the people you already knew were destroying him. What, were they threatening you too? Or did you just think you would get more? For whatever reason, all I know is no lawyers were necessary. We could have handled this all, and guess what? I still would have let you run it. So it is not about that. You made some mistakes you will have to answer for. But for my end, I forgive you. For your little brother's end, he says he will not forgive you until you apologize to me. And that makes me sad, because you miss out on knowing this amazing human being. I'm not so sure he's missing out on knowing you.
And to be quite honest,
I don't really want him around.
If that's the type of spirit that y'all have, he's not missing out on anything.
He ain't missing out on nothing.
And until y'all get right, your father wouldn't want this type of energy.
Cutting off his legs, you think?
Come on. Like she said, y'all have to live with that. That's going to be on y'all soul, y'all consciousness. They are continuing to move even through all the hell and heartache that they have both went through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
And he's still on his daughter's front lawn. Only she moved him to the side lawn. He's supposed to be on our property, but still on her front yard. I don't know how she got it.
So
but
she
right
buried
after
him
he
on
died,
the front
on
lawn?
her front yard. On her front yard, and put a big 16-foot fence, green fence, around the casket with guards and big lights. The estate has to pay For the light bill. They even asked for the light bill.
Now, what is that about? Is that for show or is that really?
You know what I think it's for? I think it is revenge. I think they're so mad at their father that this is how they're punishing their father, because they put a man like him on your front yard and close up the gates, and to tell me I'm not allowed to go in to visit him unless I'm searched for a camera because I might take a picture of my husband's grave. Not to mention the fact that he went to 5 different funeral homes for that 6 months, and I was chasing him with my mother, back and forth, back and forth. He was even in our house. You can check it out. It's all written down. It's all real shit. You can read about it. It's there. He was even in our house. They even had to cold frost the house for a month because they were waiting so long. Now tell me that's not punishing this man for whatever you think he did to your mother told him they did to you, or whatever you think he was leaving to me and your little brother that you weren't gonna get, or because you just racist or just hateful or just so angry because he didn't want to see you that Thanksgiving, so you just took that Christmas to destroy him? I don't know. But I think that you need to do some soul searching.
Yes.
And I think that now that you're representing everything, and now you are doing a really good job, and I have to say you've been doing a really great job in promoting his name and selling his merchandise and doing all of that, and you still do the turkey giveaways and the toy giveaways. In fact, I think you took one of them down, but you still are trying to represent and doing the James Brown Family Foundation, which is your own foundation that me and your little brother aren't a part of. But at least those children got that money that would otherwise not receive an education in Georgia and South Carolina. Half of that money is going to make sure that these kids get a college education. So that is something I was fighting for. Yes. So thank God for that. Yes. But other than everything else, we ain't allowed to talk about it, and we will never talk about it. But you need to understand that the truth is the truth. And whatever you have done, you are going to have to live with that. And I'm not afraid of the truth, and I'm not afraid of you. And we're happy. And we're just fine.
Okay. Lovely, beautiful, abundant, strong, resilient. Okay? They're more than just fine. Mm-hmm. Okay? You can continue to miss out because of the resentment, the hate, the evilness, whatever it is, baby. But it's not right. It's not right. And you will not live on this earth with perfect peace. I don't give a damn. I don't care. Mm-hmm. You just won't. You can lie to yourself because it seems like that's what they've been doing for a minute. You can continue to lie to yourself and say everything's okay, but it's not. It's not. It's not.
No, it's not okay. No, it's not okay.
So let me go into this because I feel like your strength, your resilience, everything is so admirable. I don't know many, I just don't know many women that have lost a legend, a loved one, and still are able to stand and speak the truth that you are. A lot of them just go into hiding, like you said. Mm-hmm. And you've had to do a bit of it all. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? But the way that you continue to speak out, understand it's not in vain and it won't be in vain. So I know, do people check in on you? Do people ask you how you're doing?
Nope.
Do you have any close people that
I got my people. Okay. I got my band members from Hardly Dangerous. I still talk to them all the time. I got one coming to visit me on Tuesday.
Because I just want to know how you're coping with this personal grief.
I got the people that I had before I met James Brown.
Okay.
I don't hear anything from the family. I've got my lawyers who are fantastic, and they check on me, and they make sure everything's straight and everything's on the level. And I have a really strong faith in Jesus.
Absolutely.
And I believe that God is forever holding me up in strength.
Yes.
And I believe that I'm here to share that message because we are in the last of the last of the last of the last
of the last.
Because this is crazy. We're going to war. We're doing things that, we are on the battleground, people. And if you don't recognize that, you need to open your eyes. We need to come together as one people, because this is a problem when family members can't get together. What are we going to do about the Ukraine? You know what I'm saying?
We can't even. Come on, as family.
Exactly. So we're in trouble.
That's deep. That's deep.
Trouble. I'm just really proud to be able to tell his story and to get it out. I don't want this to happen to anybody else. And I want you to know that that it's not all sorrow for us here. We're doing music. My son is creating music.
Yes,
whatever the media didn't tell then, it's like you said, what's done in the dark comes to light.
Always.
This beautiful program, the Morning Flavor Show right here, this is it. If this ain't enough flavor for y'all, man, you need to get peppered up.
Listen, you flavorless.
I'm saying. Because this man did everything for you. For you.
Everything.
Was about
Everything.
you and us and we, not them and they and it. And it wasn't about that. So we don't live like that here, man. My son is a producer and a arranger and a songwriter and a beat maker and a rapper and a singer. And he's at that board 18 hours a day. Sometimes I have to like remind him to sleep and eat because he's just sitting there mixing and mixing and mixing. Yes. My son is nothing but music. He has the work ethic of his father.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing to watch, and I've got 2 bands and he does more work than I do.
Wow.
So, I'm just so proud of him, and so we're doing our things, I'm trying to work on a podcast of my own.
Yes, I was going to get into that.
Yeah,
yes.
and
I want you to tell us more about the podcast because I know you have so many projects you are involved in. So tell us a little bit more about the podcast.
Well, the podcast is Mighty Networks. It's owned by Michael Francis. He was an underboss and the boss of the Colombo crime family. And he found Jesus. He was in the hole and somebody put a Bible through that hole until he finally picked it up and read it. And I do believe this man found the Lord. He did, and he goes around. He's a pastor now. He goes around and he does seminars, and he talks in churches, and he talks and he does things to help people with business. And he has a big network called Mighty Networks, where he gives people a forum to have their own podcasts, also to be a part of his, where he helps people that are still in the crime life and out of the crime life, trying to help them to have a new and fine life. He's a very, very generous, nice man who paid his he paid his debt to society.
Yes.
He did his time. He was a racketeer. He was not like one of these. He was a smart businessman. He was a doctor. When his father, Sonny Francis, went in, was the actual boss of the Colombo crime family. And he just went in because his father, was going to serve some time for something he didn't do. And so he gave up being a doctor and all of this to become this man. And he successfully walked away from the mob life and the mob life, and nobody walks away from the mob life.
Wow.
But now he is a huge guru for so many talented entrepreneurs and entertainers alike and podcasters. Mighty Networks is growing and growing exponentially. And he really does take his time out to teach the people. He's teaching me how to podcast. He sends out things. He gives you phone calls. He sends out letters of how to negotiate, how to do things. He teaches you how to be a boss.
Wow.
And you're taking this from a guy who walked into a room who knew that he might not walk out of there alive.
Okay.
This is how you negotiate for your life.
Yes.
So this is my life.
Oh,
Michael Francis, Mighty Networks. I have the Godmother of Soul and Godmother Enterprises are my 2 sites that I have within Mighty Networks. Anybody can get one.
Congratulations.
And
That's
thank
beautiful.
you. And I'm just still learning, feel my way around it. Technology is not my best friend. My son's really great at it, but I bought 2 computers when I was married to my husband, and the next day they were both missing. He's like, I don't know. I know he took them. Because he said they're the end of the music business, so I know he took them. They were just gone. They were on the table. The next day they weren't. Nobody was in our house.
And that's the truth.
Yeah. I said, where are my computers, James? I just bought the second one. The last one you took, and you took it away. Where's the next one? I don't know. I didn't see it. I don't know. I'm like, I know you took it, James. I don't have it. And you don't need that mess anyway. He thought that it was the end of the music business. And he was not wrong.
He wasn't.
He wasn't wrong. Because now with all the streaming and all that stuff that's happening, artists aren't getting paid.
Yeah, like 2 cents.
All that stuff, yeah.
Come on.
Absolutely.
It's ridiculous.
Hello, chime, chirp.
Okay.
Chirp, chirp.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we getting into these last questions, Queen.
Yeah, let's do it, darling.
Yes. What is the legacy of James Brown in your words, and how will you continue to infuse it in some of the community projects that you do?
All right. What is James Brown's legacy in my words?
Yes.
It is integrity. It is honesty. It is telling a story, not for the sake of telling a story, but for the sake of making a situation better. And the next day a little bit brighter and lighter for those that can't handle it.
Yes.
Giving back.
Yes.
That's what his legacy is to me. I try to live the way James Brown had me live when he was alive, and that is with the utmost of respect and dignity and honesty and kindness, because that is what you have to be able to receive those same things in return. And as a mother, I feel that it's my duty to give my son those kind of experiences, because he's going to be the one that's shouldering more of this. I might be shouldering a lot of this pain that he didn't have to because he was too young. But he is the one that is going to take it to another level. And I think that James Brown did know something about my son that I didn't. I didn't want him to be called James Brown II. I said, baby, please, this is too much. Those are big shoes to fill. What is our son going to do? Everybody's going to expect him to be as good as you, and nobody is ever going to be as good as you. How are we going to make this work? And he told me to stay out of that.
Wow.
He's going to do more than he ever did. He could be president one day.
Yes.
James Brown is finally in a white man's world. For a man like him to say that.
That is
To
deep.
say that.
That's
and
deep.
even little Richard, man, used to live at the Hyatt House, at the Wright House on Sunset Boulevard. Richard Penniman. All you had to do was call him in. Little Richard would pick up the phone. That was his house. He was a good man. And that's a funny story. Anyway, we would call him. Now, I went and met little Richard about 2 years after I had met James Brown. And I hadn't had my son yet. And he said, honey, you know I'm sanctified. Make up all his glory. And you're going to have a man-child, and you're going to be with him till the day he dies. Well, after we had our son, my husband called. I'm laying next to him in bed, and I see him on the phone. He used to like to call people late at night. Anybody that knows him know that. They got a call. He called my daddy all the time. He called up and he said, Richard Penniman, please. Tell him Mr. Brown's on the phone. And so he said, Richard, I did it. I had me a man-child. Named James Brown II. Not going to be a junior. They got too many Junes. Too many Junes. Mine ain't going to be no June. Because apparently, Junes is what they would call black folks in the South, because they just got tired of naming them.
Wow.
So they would all call him Junior. So that's why you got so many Junes.
Yes.
Most black people got a June in their family.
Yo, for real.
Because they were tired of naming them. That's how dirty those bastards were. Anyway. So later, we were friends with Mr. Penniman for a long time. He already called. He knew I was going to have a man-son. He knew I was going to be with James till the day he died. I stayed in touch with he was a wonderful man, and he left this world believing and knowing that he was going to see me again. And that's comforting to know. But, you know, these things, these reoccurrences that happen in your life, pay attention to them, because things that you put out there, energy, you put things out there, they will happen. You can manifest things. I imagine the Brown kids, when I say my prayers, I imagine them. It's hard to do, but I meditate a lot, and I pray a lot, and I imagine them with smiles on their faces.
Yes.
And I imagine everybody happy,
Yes.
and there being no friction and no
Yes,
problems.
everybody coming together.
You know, so, you know, I just recognize people that what you put out there
It's what you
into
give
the
back.
universe. We are made out of water and energy. That is what we are. We are bound by these two substances alone. So if we can't connect on this electricity, on this vibe, then
On this frequency?
then hey man, you are not gonna last. You know, you ain't gonna last. Why do you think these cockroaches and Keith Richards are still here? Shit, they got it figured
Come on
out.
now, these
you
roaches
know?
ain't going
They
nowhere.
ain't going
okay?
nowhere. You know, you got to get a hard shell, and you got to start, you know, figuring stuff out, and you got to share the truth, and you got to, you know, think what you want in your life.
Yes.
Be who you want to be in your life. Imagine it. See yourself on that stage. Think of what the outfit is you're going to be wearing. What is the song you're going to be singing? How many lighters are going to be lit in the audience, you know?
Yes.
I mean, see it.
Really
Imagine
visualize it, yes.
Yeah, because this stuff is how we make things happen.
We
are energy. And if we put out energy, we will receive energy.
Yes.
And drink lots of water.
Yes.
And eat well. And don't do drugs. They are out to kill you. They're nobody's friends. You ain't gonna meet nobody because you do some stuff. I know my friend Tyson was talking about, he's even afraid of doing that thing that makes you see, whatever, God or something. You ain't gonna see God until you die. And even then, he might not have time for you because do you have time for him? So just recognize that you didn't get here by accident. Don't leave here on purpose.
Woo.
And be loving because
Yes.
this all gonna come around back to you. And I don't want to see anybody fail, even people that have done me wrong. I don't want to see them hurt. There ain't no reason for more people to be hurt more than I've been.
Come on now. Whew. And that's the truth. Huh?
I mean, women, I don't want a woman to go through this. Why should any woman have to lose her husband in the first place?
And in the way that you did.
I mean, just ripped from me. Just
Ripped.
ripped from me. And even now, I'll see pictures where there's a picture of David Bowie and my husband when we were doing a show with Lenny Kravitz. I've literally got him in my stomach. I remember the pink dress I was wearing. I'm right next to him. I'm all blurred out.
Blurred out.
There's a photograph in one of your promos for this show of James and I sitting there, and I'm down below. There's a photograph they put out after he died where I'm not there. No, they're blurring me out of photographs, but I have original photographs to prove that I was there. So they're already still trying to erase me from history.
From his history.
And you cannot erase history.
You can erase the truth, baby.
Erase the truth. And so get it together.
Get it together.
Get involved and get it straight because it is coming back to haunt you with a vengeance.
Bottom line. And you can't escape that.
No, because that's the Lord's business. It ain't gonna be me. Because ain't nobody can touch me. I'm protected. I've got the divine Holy Spirit around me and my son, and we are protected and can nobody hurt us.
Yes.
And if you think you're going to come at me, trust me, I'll put some razor blades in my hair. I'll mess you up. Leave me alone. Leave my son alone. That's off limits because I will kill you.
Ooh, no, this has been, riveting. I know the listeners are on the edge of their couches, on the edge of the countertop in the kitchen. So we want to celebrate. We want to celebrate Mr. James Brown.
Yeah, celebrate his life.
And let's do it by hearing you sing some vocals. I want to hear A Man's World.
Oh, do you?
That's what I want to hear. I know we said we was going to do something else, but I want to hear that. And we're going to close it on out like that.
I'm going to have to ask him to help me with a minute.
Yes.
I don't want to start crying. Man made the cars to take us over the road. Man made the train to carry the heavy load. Man made the electrolytes to take us out of the dark. Man made the boat full of water like Noah made the ark. Yes, this is a man's world. But it wouldn't be nothing without a woman or a girl. Yeah. May I make a little bitty baby girls and a baby boy. May I make them happy, 'cause man made them toys. How can man make everything that it can? Man makes money, man makes pesos, he makes dineros to pay for another man. Yeah, this is a man's world, but it wouldn't be one little thing without a woman, yeah.
But I just want to know, did y'all notice something different about the show, about the title?
How woke are you?
How woke are you, baby? Huh?
Well, we've been testing you. We just want to know how many of you got this.
James Brown did that.
Lay it on him, sister.
The flavor has been a little bit, misconstrued, because the true flavor is up in heaven, baby. Okay. So, Mr. Brown, thank you so much for mixing up the name today, specifically for you and your energy, okay?
That's right.
Thank Thank you so much, Queen. Thank you so much for your strength. Thank you, Miss TomiRae, for your resilience. Thank you for sharing your journey and your story with us today. It's not in vain. And I appreciate you giving us the exclusive. Because like you said, You've been interviewed before, but a lot of the interviews don't make it out, baby. But this one will.
Thank you.
Loud and proud.
Thank you.
Loud and
Amen.
proud. Your
Say
truth.
it loud. That's
your
right.
truth.
That's right. The
will
truth
be
is
seen.
on fire.
The truth is on fire,
The truth,
baby.
the truth is on fire. We don't care what the mother burn.
Okay, thank y'all so much for joining us.
God bless
on
you.
The Morning Flavor. God bless you.
You know
God
what?
is.
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
James said at every concert, and I think it's just a beautiful thing he used to say. Before we'd leave the stage, he would say, I hope that you live 200 years, and I live 200 years minus 1 day, so I never know beautiful people like you, my sister, have ever passed away. Amen.
Ooh, thank you for your existence. Come on, let's touch and agree on that.